If you're relying on the age pension or you're about to apply in 2026, then this is one video you absolutely cannot afford to skip. Because right now, all over Australia, people are hearing one number again and again, $1,178 per fortnight. But what does that figure really mean in real life? Is it enough? Who actually gets the full amount? And more importantly, how does this payment change your future planning as a senior in Australia? Today, we're breaking down the age pension rates for 2026 in plain English. No jargon, no government spin, just the facts, the fine print, and the real-world impact on your weekly budget. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand, what Centrelink looks at, and what smart seniors are doing right now to protect their payments. Welcome back to Centrelink Compass AU, the channel that helps you navigate Australia's pension, payments, and policy changes with confidence. Now let's talk about that headline figure. In 2026, the maximum age pension rate for a single person is around $1,178 per fortnight, including the base rate, pension supplement, and energy supplement. That sounds solid at first glance, but numbers on paper and money in your bank account are two very different things. First, let's slow this down. That $1,178 is the maximum rate. Not everyone gets it. In fact, many seniors receive less because of income tests, asset tests, or changes in their personal circumstances. So if you've heard this figure and assumed it automatically applies to you, this is where things need clarification. Centrelink calculates your age pension using two main tests, the income test and the assets test. Whichever test results in the lower payment is the one that applies. That means even if your income is low, your assets could reduce your pension. And even if your assets are modest, your income could still impact what you receive. Let's start with income. Centrelink looks at money you earn from work, investments, superannuation income streams, and certain overseas pensions. There are income-free areas, meaning you can earn a certain amount before your pension is affected. But once you go over that threshold, your payment reduces gradually. This is why some seniors are shocked to discover they're not receiving the full rate, even though they feel they're just getting by. Now let's talk about assets, because this is where most confusion happens. Assets include things like savings, shares, investment properties, vehicles, and superannuation if you're over pension age. The family home is exempt, but almost everything else is counted. And here's the key point. Even if your assets aren't producing income, they can still reduce your pension. In 2026, the asset thresholds have been adjusted slightly to account for inflation, but they still catch many people off guard. For homeowners, the asset limit to receive the full pension is lower than for non-homeowners. That means owning your home outright helps, but having too much in savings or investments can still work against you. So when people ask, why am I not getting the full $1,178? The answer is almost always tied to these tests. Now let's break down what that $1,178 actually covers. On a fortnightly basis, it might sound reasonable, but let's convert it into real life. That's roughly $580 per week. From that amount, most seniors need to cover groceries, utilities, transport, medical costs, insurance, phone and internet, and unexpected expenses. And that's before we even talk about rent for those who don't own their home. For renters, the situation is even tighter. Rent assistance is available, but it often doesn't keep pace with actual rental prices, especially in major cities and regional hotspots. Many pensioners are finding that housing alone consumes more than half of their pension. And let's be honest, the cost of living in Australia hasn't slowed down. Power bills, food prices, council rates, and healthcare costs continue to rise. That's why many seniors feel that even with an increase, they're standing still. Now here's something important that doesn't get talked about enough. The age pension isn't just adjusted randomly, it's indexed twice a year in March and September. The increases are tied to inflation, wage growth, and a benchmark designed to ensure pensioners don't fall too far behind the broader community. But in reality, those increases often lag behind real expenses. That's why you'll hear headlines about pension increases, but seniors still feel financial pressure because the increase might be $20 or $30 per fortnight, while electricity bills jump by hundreds per year. Now let's talk about who benefits most from the 2026 rate changes. Single pensioners on the full rate tend to see the clearest benefit, especially those with minimal assets and no additional income. Couples receive a combined rate, which is higher overall but lower per person. This means singles often face more pressure, especially when living alone. For couples, shared housing costs help, but medical and care costs can increase as both partners age. And if one partner passes away, the surviving partner's pension changes, sometimes dramatically, at a time when emotional stress is already high. This is why understanding your entitlements before something changes is so important. Now let's address a question we hear all the time on Centrelink Compass AU. Can you work and still get the age pension in 2026? The answer is yes. And this is where the work bonus comes in. The work bonus allows pensioners to earn a certain amount from employment income without it affecting their pension. Unused amounts can accumulate up to a cap, giving you flexibility if you work irregularly. For many seniors, this is a lifeline. A few hours of work per week can make a real difference, especially with rising costs. But you must report income correctly. Overpayments can lead to debts, and Centrelink does follow up. Another key issue in 2026 is superannuation. Once you reach age pension age, most super becomes accessible under the assets test. This surprises many people who thought super stopped being counted once they retired. It doesn't. How you structure your super, when you draw from it, and whether it's in accumulation or pension phase can all affect your age pension. This is why financial advice matters, not from someone trying to sell you products, but from someone who understands Centrelink rules. A small decision can have a big impact on your fortnightly payment. Now let's talk about something emotional but very real: dignity. The age pension isn't a handout. It's a safety net that Australians have paid into through taxes their entire working lives. And understanding how it works is about protecting your independence and peace of mind. In 2026, seniors are living longer, healthier lives, but that also means longer periods on fixed incomes. Planning isn't optional anymore. It's essential. So what can you do right now if you're worried about your pension amount? First, review your Centrelink details. Make sure your assets and income are reported accurately. Mistakes happen and they can cost you money. Second, understand the thresholds. Knowing where you sit can help you plan withdrawals, spending, and even gifting, though gifting rules are strict and must be followed carefully. Third, stay informed. Rules change, rates change, supplements change, and those changes don't always make headlines. That's exactly why Centrelink Compass AU exists, to keep you ahead, not reacting after the fact. Now let's talk briefly about supplements. The pension supplement and energy supplement are included in the $1,178 figure, but they're not guaranteed forever. Policy reviews happen regularly, and future governments can change how supplements are structured. That's another reason not to rely on headline numbers alone. For carers, veterans, and those receiving additional payments, interactions between benefits can get complex. Always check how one payment affects another. As we move deeper into 2026, there's growing discussion around housing affordability for seniors, rental stress, and whether the age pension adequately reflects modern costs. Advocacy groups continue to push for reforms, but until changes happen, understanding the system is your strongest tool. Now let's pause and be very clear. If you are receiving close to the full $1,278 per fortnight, you are likely doing many things right within the system. But if you're receiving less and you don't understand why, don't assume it's correct. Ask questions, request reviews, seek clarification. Centrelink decisions can be reviewed, and mistakes do get corrected. Silence never helps. Information does. As we wrap up, remember this: the age pension in 2026 is more than just a number, it's a foundation. How strong that foundation is depends on knowledge, planning, and staying informed. If this video helped you understand what the $1,178 fortnightly rate really means, then make sure you're subscribed to Centrelink Compass AU. We break down the changes, explain the rules, and help you stay one step ahead of Centrelink confusion. Drop a comment below and tell us, are you receiving the full rate, or are you surprised by how the tests work? Your question could help someone else watching right now. Thank you for trusting Centrelink Compass AU. Stay informed, stay confident, and we'll see you in the next update.